This happened a few summers ago, back when I still lived in my childhood home with my parents. I was 17. One random weekend, my parents went away for a few days without me. That had never happened before. They were always home, always in control, never gone together. For as long as I could remember, our house had never stood empty. Naturally, I took advantage. I invited MJ, my girlfriend at the time, to stay over. She had this mischievous streak that made even normal moments feel like we were crossing some forbidden line. When she saw the pool glowing in the backyard, her eyes lit up. "We should skinny dip," she whispered. I said no, worried about the neighbors, but she pushed until I caved. Before long, we were in the water, laughing under the night sky. Warm water, cool summer air. For a moment it felt perfect, like the world had cracked open and given us this tiny, dangerous secret. The pool sat just outside the living room's massive bay windows. At night, with the lights inside on and the backyard dark, the view was reversed. From the pool, we could see everything inside as if the house was a giant illuminated dollhouse. At first it felt safe, almost comforting. Until I looked up and saw a shadow. It slid across the far living room wall. Human, moving. I froze. My heart hammered in my chest. Someone was in the house. I whispered to MJ, told her to get out quietly. She didn't argue. She slipped into the pool house while I grabbed the kitchen knife and stepped inside. That's when I noticed the little things. A chair pulled out in the dining room. A picture frame tilted on the wall. A coffee mug on the counter I didn't use. Signs not of a thief, but of someone living inside our space, someone who had time. I searched every room, every window locked, every door shut tight, no sign of forced entry. But I knew I hadn't imagined that shadow. The police came, did their sweep, found nothing. They left. At 4 a.m., the floorboards above me creaked. I held my breath, straining to listen. Someone was walking, slowly, purposefully. Then the steps came down the stairs. By the time I reached the front door, it was hanging wide open. Whoever it was had vanished into the night. The next morning, the message became clear. All of our kitchen knives were gone. Every single one. Whoever had been inside didn't just want money. They wanted us to know. That wasn't the only time I felt hunted. Last spring, during Rowan University's Hollybash Festival, I stayed out late. Campus was buzzing. By 2:30 a.m., the crowds were gone, the streets silent, and I headed back to Chestnut Hall alone. Inside, the lounge lights were low. A man sat on the couch, perfectly still. Ski mask, hands on his knees, watching. For a second, I thought I'd stumbled into something stupid, some drunk playing a prank. Then he snapped to his feet, body rigid, head locked on me. I bolted down the hall and locked myself in a bathroom. My pulse thundered in my ears. When I finally dared to peek out, the hall was empty. I thought maybe I was safe. Until I saw him again. Still in the lounge, still masked. His bike leaned against the door, a chair jammed against the frame like he was sealing it shut. He didn't chase. He didn't speak. He just watched as I passed, pepper spray clutched in my fist, his eyes following me like the fear itself was the game. Outside, I heard bikes behind me. 3 more masked riders. They circled me, laughing, waving what looked like guns. Maybe real, maybe not. The difference didn't matter. They didn't hurt me. They didn't need to. The message was the same. You don't own the night anymore. But the worst was 2 summers ago, at Amanda's house. She lived in a mansion-like home in a wealthy neighborhood. Big yard, 3 stories, the kind of house you can get lost in. When the camp she worked at threw their end of summer party, her house was the obvious choice. The party was packed, music thumped, kids spilled into every room. One guy, Pete, flirted with Amanda all night. I didn't want to fight, so I drowned him in alcohol until he passed out in the basement. Petty, sure, but it worked. I stepped outside to breathe and saw a man standing at the edge of the property under a street lamp. Still, watching. When I approached, he asked, "Are your parents home?" Then he said Amanda's parents' names. I lied, said yes. He just nodded and walked off into the dark. Later, the doorbell rang. No one was supposed to use the front door. A drunk guest told me an older man had been there, claiming to be a family friend. She let him in. Upstairs, Amanda's parents' room was ransacked, jewelry gone, drawers ripped open. And then, in the mirror on the door, I saw it, a shape ducking. He was still inside. He tackled me before I even saw his face, clawing at me like an animal. I shoved him off and he sprinted across the room, diving out a second-story window. I ran to the glass in time to watch him vanish into the yard. The police kicked everyone out, but they never caught him. Amanda didn't even care, but I couldn't forget his voice at the edge of the property. How he knew the names. How he knew the house would be full of noise, easy to blend into. 3 times in my life, I've looked into the face of someone who didn't want money, or chaos, or even violence. They wanted fear, they wanted to linger in my memory. And they succeeded.